this is Chinmayi. A few days ago I asked on Instagram, there was an ask me anything, ask me a question sort of a thing. Today I'm going to be getting ready for an event, for a concert. So I just thought I'll answer that question while I'm also getting ready. So the first part of this video is about the makeup brushes that I own. I have actually collected quite a bit over the years. So if you think, do I use all of them? Maybe, maybe not. But I collect makeup and I collect stuff like this. So it's kind of nice. I have used several of them at different points in time. I use makeup extensively because there are events, there are television shows that I'm part of. So they definitely do come in handy. So I'm going to share with you right away. So let me take you right up. Let me take you, running through. Next up are my foundation brushes. Okay, I'm going to be starting with my eyeshadow brushes because I saw that I ended up collecting quite a bit. I'm going to be starting with a couple of Marc Jacobs eyeshadow brushes. These are actually one of the more expensive brushes that I own. I got this on the recommendation of a makeup artist that I worked with, and he said Marc Jacobs brushes are definitely the bee's knees. And at that point in time I was just building my collection, and Sephora had a sale. In addition, eBay also had a great cashback. So I just thought I'll invest in two of the eyeshadow brushes because my eyes are generally pretty sensitive. So what I invested in first was the Marc Jacobs Smudge Brush, and in addition to that is the Marc Jacobs Shadow Brush. These two brushes I have really loved using. The Smudge Brush is something that you can actually use to draw your eyeshadow under your eyes or smudge your black eyeshadow or your kajal or your kohl. And then of course the Shadow Brush is something for an all over lid application, and it works really well if you want to just put a particular color and then just tap it all across your eyelid. The next set of brushes that I own is from MAC. These were actually, this brand is one of the first or the first makeup brush collection that I bought. Of course, they are not that old. I have discarded some as time went by because I think I must have purchased it sometime around 2008, 2009. And these are all eyeshadow brushes. This is the MAC 224. This is a recent purchase. This is the MAC 217. I have two of the MAC 217 and one of the MAC 219. This is more like a pencil brush, and I use this to highlight my inner corner or to go under my eyelids for a more precise application of perhaps a darker color, and then I just want to draw a very thin line, then I use that. The MAC 217 is more all over shadow, or what shall I say, you can actually use that to fluff and blend two shadows together on your eyelid if you are into that sort of a thing. The MAC 224 is more of a buffing brush of sorts in my experience. Each person has a very different way of approaching and applying makeup, and I use this to blend any harsh lines, especially between my crease and my lid shades. It's good to buff so that everything looks like one seamless color. This is the MAC 214, which is also something that you can use to smudge in the outer corner, especially if you want to define, or because this has a very straight line, you can use it to perhaps define your line. If you don't wear eyeliner, you can use a darker eyeshadow and then start with a marker just out there, just so, and perhaps use that as a marker to slowly build your eyeshadow so that it can actually have a flick. This can also be used to very closely place eyeshadow close to your lash line, either on the upper or the lower lash line. These two I actually purchased, I think, in one of the departmental stores in the US. These are the e.l.f. brushes. Before I went into any of the other more serious brushes that I actually bought, these were one of my more initial purchases, I think a couple of years ago, when I started discovering brushes and the YouTube channels of various makeup artists. These were very affordable. I think they were like $1 or $2. This one is an eyeliner brush. This is an angled tip eyeliner. This helps in a very precise application of eyeliner, especially if you are working with gel or liquid. And this again is the small smudge brush. So this works again very close to your eyelids, if you want to smudge either darker eyeshadow colors, or you want to be smudging on your inner corner, or placing your highlights in your inner corner of your eyes. So that's that. These two were local purchases. I bought these in Chennai. I think I bought them at Shoppers Stop. One of them is the Clinique's eyeshadow brush. I had actually forgotten my entire kit in Hyderabad, so I urgently needed to pick up something. So this is called the eyeshadow brush, and this is something that you can actually use to place eyeshadow or to buff out your crease a little bit. I don't use this much because this is more like a last minute purchase and rather an emergency purchase. So that's that. The contour shadow brush from Estee Lauder, this is number 30. This is something that I've actually liked using when I wanted to, this is at an angle if you see, and this you can actually slightly use that to blend in your especially the shades, the more darker shades in your outer corner. So I've actually liked using this a lot. These brushes are from Morphe. Morphe's, I had visited their standalone store in LA, I think when I went a couple of years ago, and when I just discovered Morphe. They are a very, very affordable makeup and makeup tool brand, and these are the Morphe M411. This has like a pointed tip, and I use that when I want to place a slightly darker shade in my contour, eye contour that is. This is the Morphe M169. A lot of people use this as a pencil brush of sorts, but this is a little more rounded if you ask me. So if you have actually used a dark eyeshadow under your around your lash line with a precise brush, and then you want to smudge it out a little bit, this is a pretty good tool to start off with. The Morphe M412, the Morphe R38, the Morphe G24, and the Morphe B79. These are various eyeshadow brushes, and I think these three brushes, especially the one in the center, which is the Morphe and I think these three brushes, especially the one in the center, which is the Morphe R38, is very similar to the MAC 224 and is far more affordable. So if you live in the US, I think they also ship internationally, or if you have friends coming down from the US, it actually makes sense. If you are starting out with makeup, you can actually invest in these brushes. They last a pretty long while, and it's a good brand to start off with if you are a beginner and you want to learn with inexpensive tools. This brush I got along with a ColourPop shipment, and I think at that point there was some sort of an offer and I could get this at a cheaper price. Already ColourPop's makeup and products are pretty affordable, and this is the winged liner. One of the advantages of having a winged liner brush is that not only can you use it when you want to wing out your liner, you can also use it to precisely apply lipstick. So there are two ways you can use a brush like this. Of course, if you are using it on your eyes and then if you are using it on your lips, you need to be cleaning it. So in which case it makes sense to have two of them, or if you are not into either of them, if you are not into wing liners, or if you are not into wearing lipstick, of course you will have uses for this one in either way. These brushes are recent purchases. Sigma had a sale sometime last November, and I bought these during that time because Sigma is actually, I saw this being used by one of my friends who is a makeup artist, Samantha, and she had a lot of Sigma tools, and I saw her brush collection and I really liked some of these. One of my favorites is the Sigma Blending E36. This is a beautiful, very pinpointed blending brush, especially for your crease. This works beautifully and I have loved using it. I think all the brushes and all the brush brands that I own are all vegan. This is a Sigma Pencil E30. I have started using this pencil brush a lot more than other brushes that I own because of the way this brush is soft, number one. Especially one of the things that you need to make sure while you're using a brush around your eye area is that it should not poke too much. It should basically be soft. That's something why what's very special about the Marc Jacobs brushes as well, but they're extremely expensive. But the Sigma ones are less expensive, if you would ask me. And these are pretty gentle around the eyes, and as I mentioned earlier, I have very sensitive eyes, and you know, if I'm doing my makeup and if the brush goes about poking around my eyes, and then I end up having very irritated eyes for the rest of the evening. So this is something that I've really loved using. This is the Sigma Shader Crease. This is something that you can actually use for a precise application of a dark crease shade. So your crease falls somewhere around here, and if you have a hooded eye like mine, you want to actually draw your crease a little higher so that your crease shade and everything, your eyes don't look a little messed up with makeup, right? Makeup is supposed to make your features look better and probably enhance some of the features that may not play very well to your advantage on your face. So this Shader Crease E47 is also one of my favorites that I use a lot. The Sigma Diffused Crease. This is very similar to another Morphe brush that I own. This is what I use once I have applied a crease shade on my eyes. I use this to buff the shades out. This is the Sigma E25 blending brush, very similar to the MAC 224 and another MAC Morphe brush that I own, but you can't really have too many blending brushes, as they say. This is the Sigma small angle E65 brush. This you can use for your lip liner or for your eyeliner. I have used it several times when I want to precisely line my kajal, especially around my lash line. This is the very precise pointed Sigma wing liner E06 when you want a really sharp wing from your eyeliner that can actually cut like daggers. This is the brush to go to. I have loved using it. The resulting line that comes from your eyeliner is so sharp and so brilliant that this is truly one of my favorite brushes as long as eyeliner or applying eyeliner is concerned. This is a Sigma concealer brush F75. I've loved using this whenever I've not slept for days and I have resulting dark circles, and if I want to apply a slightly thick concealer, this applies it very well, and it's very easy to just pat in the space. And once you have actually used the concealer, you can use the same brush to pat in the powder as well, to apply it around your eyes, so that you can do this first, then just pat excess powder on here and then work on your eyeshadow, so that if there are any fallouts, the powder will catch it and then you can brush it away with any fluffy brush. This is the IT brushes, which is, I think, exclusive to Ulta Beauty in the US. This is also a concealer brush, and I think the number is C7013. That's a long number to have. This is also a concealer brush that I really liked, and you can use it if you want to if you have spots of red like I have today, you can just use a concealer to just pat it in so that it blends in and then you don't see those discolorations on your face. Next up are my foundation brushes. This is the Pro Mini Flawless Airbrush, and this was a Sephora VRB Rouge brush. This was complimentary when I went to buy some makeup, and they gave this to me because I had hit some I think level of points or something like that. So this came to me free. I have liked using this a lot. It doesn't streak your foundation and it's pretty good. This is the Artis palm brush. So the brushes that you see here, they are very dense, and these are called Cosme Fibers. It seems to be a patent or a brand or a trademark that they own. See, this is a great brush to have if you are into very quick makeup application. This is something that you can use to buff your sunscreen, your skincare, your foundation, and even these edges can be used to place your contour this way and then just buff it out, or your contour even on the nose. I have tried that as well. This is something that you can actually use as a singular brush to have along. Of course, this won't work for eyeshadows, but this is great and it gives your makeup a pretty good seamless finish, especially your foundation. You can buff it out a lot because of the greater surface area simply. So I have really liked using this. I have owned this for about 2 years, and I got to know about this from Kathleen Lice's YouTube channel. And Artis definitely has an entire line of brushes, but they are all very expensive. And at that point in time, there was a small offer, and this friend of mine got it from London, and this is the Artis palm brush. This is actually a brush too, but this is an attachment for the Clarisonic. This is the Clarisonic makeup brush that I saw and picked up when I visited the US sometime last year. So this had just come out, and this was of course, you didn't have to use your hands, and I mean, as soon as you switched on your Clarisonic, this would go whirr, and then just generally you just needed to hold it very lightly, and this would just go about blending your foundation and even your blush and your contour very well and seamlessly as well. This concealer brush I saw Samantha, the makeup artist, using, and this is the Zoeva 142 Concealer Buffer. This is a beautiful brush. I have used this to conceal in the recent past after I have bought it. Especially, this is the softest brush hands down that I have used. And along with this, I also own the Zoeva's foundation brush, non-streaky, extremely soft. It's baby soft on the skin, doesn't streak your foundation even if you're using a liquid foundation. And I have used this in the recent past to actually buff out my sunscreen, because I don't wear makeup on a daily basis, and I use this to buff out my sunscreen in the morning, and then I sometimes use 2 layers of sunscreen, because most of the sunscreens that I use don't have a white cast. So once the first layer is down, I use this again to buff in or blend in my second layer of sunscreen. So that's that. This is also something that's beautiful when you want to when you work with cream blushes and you want to diffuse it in such a beautiful manner that it's there and not there, sort of a thing. Basically, these 2 brushes from Zoeva are really beautiful, and I love this. This is a German brand, and they do ship internationally, and you can, I'm going to be linking all of these down below so you can also buy them. These 3 are Japonesque brushes that I saw a lot of good reviews. These are also expensive. I picked it up at Ulta. This is a precise contour brush. There is a very similar brush to this with NARS, but I think Japonesque had come down with this first. These are very, very feathery soft on the skin, and if you want a very precise application of the contour and then also buff it out, this is a beautiful brush. Again, this is also a contouring brush, and this helps you, especially when you're using a bronzing powder or a contouring powder, this helps you get in under your jaw and then helps buff it all out around your hairline and under your jaw. This is something that I really loved. This is an overall buffing brush that I have actually not come close to using really. I think this is for more heavier makeup applications where you actually pat in a lot of powder and then you keep buffing it and buffing it and buffing it. I just got it on a whim, and I haven't really come close to using it. The one time that I did use it was to actually pick up powder blush. I just stamped on it and then put it onto my apples or my cheeks and then went like that, and that also worked pretty well. Sometimes I don't use the brushes the way they are supposed to be used, but this is more or less the long and short of the makeup brushes that I own. This is sadly slightly broken Makeup Forever professional eyelash tool. This is the 276. So one side you will find a very, very precise lash comb, and this side would be the brush. So this is something that I have used, but I realized that this is not travel friendly. So as soon as I bought it, this side actually broke. So that's that. Another very simple tool that you can have, this is a makeup or a mascara spoolie. This is something that you can use, you will get it at Mac actually. This is something that you can use if you don't have a tendency to wear makeup on a daily basis. You can just use this to just slightly brush away your eyebrows first thing in the morning, and that itself gives a very, very highly groomed look. If you also have a tendency to wear castor oil in your eyes, especially on your lashes at night, this is great. You can buy 3-4 of them, they are very inexpensive, and just apply it on your lashes and then condition it and then go off to sleep. This is something that's very, very useful in a lot of makeup artists toolkits, because a lot of times people don't like reusing somebody else's mascara wand. So keeping hygiene in mind, this is also great if you want to just dip into your mascara or somebody else's mascara and then just use it and then discard it, or maybe wash it and reuse it, of course after sanitizing it properly. Coming to blush, these are 2 brushes that I bought at Mac. These are also one of my oldest brushes, and I have kept them clean and I have used it only on myself. So I really liked using it. I think this is the MAC 116 and the MAC 129. I think sometimes I've also used this to apply powder or to buff out powder from under my eye, especially when I'm baking it with concealer. This is the Makeup Forever wavy and the straight wavy brush that I got at Sephora. This is the 158, and this is something that you can use to contour. Then this is something that you can use to buff out blush, especially if you're using powder blush or powder. This was a dual-ended brush that I took a fancy to, and I bought this. This was a Sephora highlighting brush. This is something that can help you precisely apply your highlight and then buff it out so that it doesn't look like it's like a streak of highlight. So this is also precise highlight application brush. Coming to contour, I use this to contour. This is a MAC 227. I think there are two ways of using this. If you're using a cream contour, you can actually use this to draw out your contour first and then go ahead. You can also use this to contour on the sides of your nose. The other way of doing this is also to use this to pat excess powder under your eyes if you're baking your concealer. This is like a $2 or a $3 lash guard that I bought at Ulta. This is something that you can actually place under your eyes if you're using a mascara for your lower lash line, or on top of your lashes if you're wanting to wear mascara and you have an issue, like sometimes I do, especially with hooded eyes. When you apply mascara and you have longer lashes, they tend to stick to the upper eyelid. So this kind of helps. But I think especially when I am going about using my mascara, I thought it's actually very easy for somebody to use it on their own. This only works for me personally, or maybe I haven't known how to use this perfectly. It works for me whenever I want to slightly line my lower lashes and then hold it there until it dries out so that it doesn't leave these black dots on my lower around my eyes. And then as far as the upper eyelash is concerned, I am not able to do this, hold it and then wear mascara on the upper lashes. It works best whenever you're a makeup artist, I think, when you want to just hold it because you have a different angle and a perspective to things. So this is more or less the brushes that I own. If you have any more questions and if you want to, if you have any comments, please leave them down below and I'll answer them. Until I see you in my next video, this is Chinmayi saying bye-bye.